services were you in?
I was in the Royal Air Force, one of the few, you know. We defended Britain. When we got to the training camp, which was actually a firefighting training camp, it was on an old airfield, which was Morton in the Marsh. We were first of all selected on the basis of whether we could drive. So all of us who could drive and got driving licenses had to stand over there. Then the sergeant said, right, all those over 21, over there. So we all marched over there, and I then found that having done that, I'd volunteered to drive a fire engine. Now, the problem was, I'd only had 8 lessons. I'd only just got my driving license in a civilian driving school up in Doncaster. And I'd only been trained on a small Austin with these little pedals on the floor, and I'd had 8 lessons when the driving test came up. And I'd been hopeless. And then as the driving test happened, I did everything perfectly and passed. Well, I was trying to explain to the sergeant that I'd only had 8 lessons and then passed the test miraculously the first time. And he just wouldn't listen. Well, yes, as soon as I realized I'd got this fire engine, which was known as a Green Goddess, but it had a big cab at the front, which contained the firemen to go and fight a fire. In this case, it had about 10 people, plus a fire officer. And I was set off to drive down the runway of this disused airfield, which was pretty safe because, you know, the runway is quite nice and wide. And I had a little bit of time to sort out where the driving things were. It was a very different situation to this nice little Austin car with dual controls that had been very safe to learn to drive in. Here I got this enormous lorry with, I don't know where the pedals were, you know, they were enormous big levers that you've got to sort of raise your feet and stamp down. It was terrifying. So we did a little bit of training around driving around this large airfield. And the guys in the back, all these 10 young guys who were about 18, 20 years old, all having a great time singing dirty rugby songs and so on. And the fire officer was sitting at the back as well. And he said, okay, let's take the naffy break. Go and line up the engine with the rest of that alongside the hangar. So I swung the car around, this great big vehicle, aiming at the hangar wall. Alongside the wall were all the other guys who'd taken their naffy break already, and they were happy in the sunshine, nice September sunshine, eating their wagon wheels and drinking their large mugs of coffee. And it was all very peaceful and very beautiful. But I couldn't find where the brake was. It was under here somewhere. As I turned in to line up my Green Goddess with all the rest of the Green Goddesses, I just couldn't find the pedals. And the fire engine, the fire officer was startled. He was back at the truck. And then all the guys who'd been singing these terrible songs, as soon as I realized that I wasn't going to stop, I was going to hit this hangar wall. I was going into this big hangar concrete wall. All the guys who were having their wagon wheels and coffee suddenly realized that this last Green Goddess coming in was not going to stop in time. So they all dropped their mugs and coffee and scattered as far as they could away from this disaster scene. I wasn't aware of all of this because I was trying to sort out where the pedals were under the wheel. And I didn't have time to see that this hangar wall was approaching very fast. The cab got dark, you know. in the shade. But then I suddenly found that this brake pedal was right up under my foot, slammed it down and pulled the thing to a halt about 2 centimetres from the concrete walls. I wasn't panicked because I hadn't had time to see any of this disaster happening. So I got out the car, climbed down from this thing, with a straight back, good military code of conduct, and went to the NAFI wagon, asked for a cup of coffee and a wagon wheel, please. But they didn't let me drive one of those things again. It was a bittersweet experience because it was 2 years out of your life. But looking back, there's a lot of stories to tell. And actually, it was good to be amongst a bunch of young guys from all different kinds of walks of life. And just to have 2 years fun, really.